A new shipping service has been added to the Etsy platform. Seller information has now been added to your shop sections at the bottom, and a way to accept in-person payments, especially this holiday season if you're doing a lot of craft fairs. All that and more in this episode of Seller News. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Handmade and Beyond podcast. I am your host, LL, here for the Friday Seller News edition, where I talk about the latest news and updates relevant to Etsy sellers so you guys can stay on top of all that stuff. All right, let's dive into the first news topic. UPS labels have been added to the Etsy platform. So if you use Etsy labels, before you could choose USPS and FedEx to ship your packages, and it will have an amount that populates, and you can print the label from Etsy. Now you can do that for UPS. So it gives you another option. Options are always good, especially if you're shipping bigger stuff. FedEx may not be the cheapest. UPS may be cheaper. So it really depends kind of what you're shipping, which service you want to choose depending on how big it is and the timeline of when you want it to arrive. So I think this is a good thing. Options are always good. I like a variety of shipping options when it comes to using the platform. The next thing I want to dive into is a little confusing. I've talked about this before. It's the U.S. Inform Consumers Act, and the EU has something specific or related, one of the adjectives out there, right? I'm going to get it, to this, which is like the EU Digital Service Act, and I think there's another, omnibus directive. I don't even know. Lots of different things going on with basically making sure that buyers are aware of who they're buying from to avoid fraud, avoid tricksters, avoid people doing the wrong things. So us as sellers have to provide specific information, and that information has to be shared to the general public. So things like your business name, what type of seller you are. It really varies depending on where you're selling at and who you're selling to, depending on which countries, depending on where you're located, all things like that. So make sure you're checking into this more depending on which area you're located in. But basically what Etsy has said is that according to these different acts and legislations, they'll continue to display certain seller or contact information in specific cases for businesses, business sellers and businesses. We look at your trader distinction as well as your seller type, business or individual, as on the legal and tax page to determine which information is shown to buyers in compliance with these regulations. So this is the trader, quote unquote, trader distinction is an EU distinction depending on if you're a seller, they call them traders. And then if you are actually, basically, if you're a sole proprietor, an individual, you can put personal on the drop down, or you can put trader if you have an LLC or you're incorporated. That's how they make that distinction. You can see this distinction if you go into your shop sections, do the edit mode, the little pencil, go to the bottom, and it will have this information where you can edit whether you're a trader or a personal seller. And again, this applies, I think, more so to the EU. But just know that those details in there could be shared to other countries, to other locations, depending on, again, where you're selling to. They also say that there is also an open-ended box in there for seller details section, so you can use it to customize any additional business or contact information you want or are required to based on local regulations to share with buyers. So it's a box, you can type in there whatever you want. Just know that will be visible on your shop page if anyone goes there. This is, I think, more of a CYA, so Etsy can cover their butt. So they are basically doing what they need to do as far as sharing this information. But if for some reason a law passes or legislation passes where they're not sharing something that they're supposed to, they can be like, oh, hey, the buyer was supposed to share this. There was an open-ended box and they didn't do that. So be careful. Make sure you're abiding by any local or regional or worldwide legislations requiring you to put additional information in there. I don't personally know of any specific context where any additional information is in there. Etsy goes on to say basically they are going to use your legal and tax page in your Etsy shop to share that information to potential buyers if needed. So make sure that that is updated. And that's going to be stuff like your name, your business name, things like that. And they're not going to share anything that's like private, like an EIN number, a social, or something like that. So don't worry about that. Just know this act and these legislations that are being passed is in order to protect against fraud, and they're going to try to be more transparent. So more to come. I didn't do, I don't know the ins and out of this, so make sure you check. You can always check with a lawyer or legal service or something like that to see exactly what you have to put in there. But just know that that is there if you go to your shop section page, so you can go and check that out and kind of find out what is required there, and kind of go from there. But that is the kind of overview of that. Etsy did do a press release on this, basically explaining more or less what I explained, that they added this section and what they're required to provide at this point in time. And on to the last thing, Etsy has partnered with Square, which is a payment point of service provider, or payment provider, however you want to say it, to accept in-person payments. If you're doing craft fairs, if you're doing holiday markets, things like that, this may come in handy for you. You basically sign up via etsy.com/square. That is the link that partners with Etsy, and go in there and sign up. And you are able to actually link your inventory through the Square app from Etsy to the Square app, so people can pay and it takes it from your inventory, which is pretty cool. You can also you can use the app and type in the credit card information, or you can buy a swiper that is via, I think it works via Bluetooth, and people can do swipe payments, they can do the chip payments, they can do the tap payments. In the swiper right now, they're saying it's only $59. So if you're doing a lot of in-person sales, this could really help speed things up for you and make things a lot easier, especially since it basically integrates with your Etsy shop and your Etsy inventory. They're giving a couple of bonuses out. They're also saying sellers who achieve $300 worth of sales, they'll give them a $10 credit in their Etsy account. They're also saying that sellers can enjoy a 180-day waiver on Square processing fees, up to $1,000 in fees. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to pay processing fees. The Square processing fees are 2.6% plus 10 cents per every transaction. And for card numbers entered manually, that's on the swiper. If you buy the swiper, cards entered manually, basically through the app, it'll be 3.5% plus 15% transaction fee. Not sure why it's more money for you to do more work, but they're trying to entice you to buy the swiper. So again, if you're getting a lot of in-person stuff, just buy the swiper. It'll save you on fees, and it'll just save you time, and it'll be a lot easier. But check that out if you guys are doing in-person sales. I think it is definitely it'll definitely be helpful for you to speed things up. But that is it, guys, as far as for Etsy news and things going on around Etsy, so that you guys are informed and know what's what and don't have to figure it out on your own. If you haven't already, make sure you download my Black Friday playbook. Black Friday is just around the corner, so I keep putting this out there to make sure you guys get this so you can plan a successful Black Friday, get some extra sales that'll help you in your shop, and set the tone kind of for Christmas. That's right around the corner as well. Make sure you guys get that at handmadeandbeyond.com/Black Friday. Other than that, I'll be back real soon with another good episode for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day and a good weekend.